Hey guys, and welcome back to another week of the Porsche Cup car here on iRacing for the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps. Here for week 3 with myself, Matt Emery, with Coach Dave Academy. Obviously, the newly laser scan circuit, brand new for this season. So let's get into the hot lap. So let's get into the hot lap guide then for the Spa circuit. As I said at the start, it's newly laser scanned for this season. So yeah, all completely brand new, I think up to date to real life. So headed down towards turn 1 then. I'm just going to use Delta to have a look at this one. We'll go through it first in the replay here. So down to turn 1, apexing as you would normally. Down to first gear, a lot of lock on here and also holding the brake all the way to the apex. Getting it released and then on the throttle out to the curb. Obviously it's slightly different now as a gravel trap here. Used to be bit of AstroTurf and a load of runoff. So you don't have that luxury anymore, but still you can use a bit of the tarmac on the edge of the curb there. Heading into turn 1 as well, it's quite hard to spot your braking point. You're just looking to be just in line with the 100-meter board on the left-hand side. And then not too much brake pressure, which we'll go into in a second on the Delta app. So this is turn 1, guys, in the Delta app. This is what it should look like on your screens. So we've got the reference lap here, and you can see here we've got the brake trace, we've got the throttle, and also the speeds, and you've got other things down here like steering and the gears. So it's really useful. You can see we're just coming onto the brake pedal for turn 1 here, and it gives you the exact percentage that you should be braking. So we're looking about 70% for turn 1, obviously down to first gear as well, completely off the throttle. And then picking up the throttle nicely on the exit here as well. This is really useful for you guys, especially if you can compare to the data packs from your own. You can just see, it usually comes up, you can see as a delta usually here as well. So it will tell you what you're losing at each corner, where your weakest points are, also where your strongest points are as well. So really pinpoints where you need to work on your lap times. So we definitely recommend giving this a go and getting yourselves a Delta subscription. It's probably the most advanced thing out there at the moment, so we definitely recommend giving this a go. But yeah, this is the Delta app. This is what it should look like. Very useful, I would recommend. So back into the replay file then. We'll head back down towards the hill, towards the Rouge and Radion. This part of the track has changed slightly, but not too much. It's pretty much the same layout. The curves have changed slightly. So you want to get all over this curb on the inside of the left-hand side here as we go up the hill, and then to make sure we're not turning the wheel too much. You notice we've got about 45 degrees on the wheel. Also want to make sure you're not turning too early, as you're just going to understeer as you go over the hill, and the crash is going to understeer off. So you want to make sure you're turning in at the right point. I'll just show you in cockpit camera as well. So turning in nice and early on the curb, and then just nice and gently following the curb round, and then the car will sort of understeer as you come over this crest, but that's fine as you completely flat over this this curb at the top of the hill as well. It's a bit more strict than it was at the top with this new update, so you have to be a bit careful. If you cut too much of the curb, you can get a slowdown, and obviously that'd be really bad in a race, so just watch out for that one. That is pretty much perfect where you want it. If you go any further than that, you risk a slowdown. But it's not as black and white as it was. It was sort of, if you went fully over the curb, you got a slowdown. But now it's a bit more. Just be careful. Yeah, flat out. Then as we head towards the end of Sector 1, obviously this bit's just not really changed too much. Just a straight still up towards Le Com, and then just spotting our braking point just before the 100-meter boards, probably about 150. Just in the middle of the 100 and 200 boards, and then you're looking to brake onto the curb on the left-hand side just to open up the corner as much as you can. Down to third gear, and all over this inside curb as well. Maintaining third gear and hop over, just get your left-hand tyres just hooked over this curb. You see it's slightly rigid on the edge, and you can hook your tyre quite nicely onto these left-hand tyres. It hooks quite nicely. So just make sure you're aiming for this bit of tarmac here with your left-hand tyres. And you'll find a bit of time from doing that as well. Holding it still in third gear towards the right hand, and again just using all of the apex curb we can, and back on full throttle, and again all of the exit curb all the way to the edge of the gravel. And yeah, absolutely no risk of a slowdown. It's very satisfying, this section, when you get right, especially with the new update, because there's a bit of gravel now, so it's not all just AstroTurf. There are limits, and you have to get really, really close as you can without losing any time in the gravel. Then heading back down towards the hill, down to second gear, apexing really early here. So you're going to go for 2 apexes in this corner. Turning in nice and early here for apex 1. So aiming to apex in line with this bit of AstroTurf or this green bit of tarmac on the inside. And then run it round nice and wide like a V. And then cut it back for your second apex about here. And then completely flat down towards No Name, the left-hander. Using, again, a bit of the curb on the entry just to open up the corner. And then maintain third gear. Don't really want to touch this red sausage curb on the inside, just as it unsettles the car slightly. So just aiming for this red and yellow curb. And then back on throttle. Again, try not to touch the gravel too much. You can actually touch it slightly on this corner. You won't lose too much time. Obviously, there used to be a massive load of runoff and AstroTurf you could use here, but it's not the case anymore. So just try and get it as close to the gravel as you can. You can dip a wheel in. It's not the end of the world. And then yeah, it won't compromise your run too much. Down towards Pouon, hasn't changed too much. Again, just turning in from the curb on the right hand side, slamming on the brakes on the curb, down to fourth gear and just getting it turned in. We'll notice how much we're trail braking here as well. Just feeding the brakes off really slowly just to get the nose into the corner. Back on full throttle and just following around the apex curb as well on the insides, and then let it just drift out towards the exit all over that curb there. And that is fine, you won't get off track for that either. And then put it back across to the left hand side to open up Piff Paff. Down to third gear, again just braking slightly on the curb there just to open up the corner as much as we can. Down to third gear and just following around this first curb. Notice how we're not really touching it, it's more just focusing on the white line here and just following the white line round. And the reason for that is it's just slightly raised, so it unsettles the car, especially in these sort of medium speed corners. Where you're relying a bit more on the aero and you need a bit of a nice balance. You don't want the car bouncing about. It's just nice to follow the white curb round, and just helps your minimum speed as well. And then same with this one, third gear, just following the white line round and then back on full throttle and then fully out again to the gravel. Again, pull it back to the left hand side, not really using this curb, it's slightly more raised than the other ones. And also the braking zone is slightly combined as you're coming back across and then turning right. So you don't want to use this one too much. I mean, you can if you really want to experiment with it, but it's not too necessary. Down to third gear, apexing quite early and then getting on the power as early as we can, as we've got this really long run towards the final bus stop chicane. Again, dipping a wheel, slightly in the gravel there won't really affect our speed too much. And then a slight lift for this right-hander. There's actually now quite a big bump just about here, which I'm told is very similar to real life, so that's good. But it's quite a nuisance, especially if you've got this car which has got low aero around this circuit. You can feel it through the wheel, and you can feel it unsettle the car. So we get over that curb. On this occasion, it doesn't send the rear end out or anything. But I know on like lower fuel in qualifying, you might want to look out for that a bit more, just as it can send your rear slightly wayward. So just watch out for that one. It's about here. You can just see the cars moving about slightly here, just as you're sort of apexing at the midpoint of the corner. So just watch out for that one. Get as close as you can to the gravel here, just to make sure you maintain the speed throughout that corner. And then it's completely flat towards Blanchemont. Take the line of least resistance, completely flat around this left hand, and then we're just opening up Blanchemont as much as we can to the right hand side. Nearly a full car's width off the track, just to make sure we get a really good run through Blanchemont. That's not an off track, that's about the limit. So just look out, you're not going too far and then picking up an off track. You can go just about to the white line with your left hand tyres. And then a slight lift down to about 30% on the throttle, back on full throttle. Again, using all of the curb that we can just to make sure we maintain the speed on the exit. Again, that's about the limit. Don't want to go any further onto the black tarmac. And then back on the circuit. And our heavy final braking zone of the circuit. Slamming the brakes on to about 80%. Down to first gear. Clobber the curb on the insides. I'll just show you that once more. So you're braking just in line with this line here on the circuit. As a really good reference. Slamming the brakes on to 80%. Getting the car turned in from the curb. First gear. Getting it back across for this left one. Just slightly touching the sausage, but not too much. And then on full throttle again. And then that completes a lap of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So that was the hot lap guide then for the Spa circuit for week 3 here on iRacing for 2024 season 4. Hope that was useful for you guys. Obviously check out all the latest data packs, coachdavacademy.com, and also our Discord down below. Any questions you guys have, just let us know there. And yeah, my name's been Matt Emery. I will see you next week for Sebring. Take care.